In ancient Hebrew, the words for justice are relational. They refer to the harmony that exists when things are in right order and in proper relationship to one another. And this is a distinguishing quality of Israel's God that we see in the opening verses of the Bible. In the creation narrative, we discover a God who delights in bringing order out of chaos. Genesis 1 depicts the world as originally formless and empty, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. Verse 2. Then God speaks and begins to separate darkness from light, sky from sea, and water from dry land. He begins to set the elements of the cosmos in their proper places, with boundaries and in harmony with one another, so that everything functions correctly. Although we often want to read the Genesis story through our modern, more scientific point of view, to appreciate the emphasis of the Hebrew text, we must strive to read the creation narrative through the eyes of an ancient Israelite. That is what Old Testament scholar John Walton helps us do with his remarkable book, The Lost World of Genesis 1. After looking at other creation myths from Egypt and Babylon, Walton notes that these ancient peoples, like the Israelites, were not focused on the material origin of the world. In fact, analysts of the ancient Near Eastern creation literature often observe that nothing material is actually made in these accounts. Instead, the stories describe how the world is ordered to function correctly. For example, rather than asking, "Where did the sun come from?" which is a material, scientific question, ancient peoples wanted to know, what is the sun's role in creation? Which is a story-oriented and relational question. Walton goes on to describe the presence of three forces in the Genesis account. Unorder is the random, chaotic state of things before God acts. It's represented by the dark waters in Genesis chapter 1, verse 2. Order is the harmonious state created by God that brings wholeness and flourishing to all things. It's represented by the garden in Genesis chapter 2. Disorder is the force that tries to tear down God's order and return things to a state of chaos. Disorder is represented by the serpent in Genesis chapter 3, where it schemes to corrupt the relationship between God and his creation.